You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Spirit Dimension with your host, Kerry Greenaway, right here on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Spirit Dimension. I'm Kerry Greenaway and I'm absolutely blessed tonight on tonight's show. I've got the lovely Claire Hinks in the studio with me. Good evening, Claire.
Good evening, Kerry. Wow, two lovelies. You're lovely Kerry.
It's beef up the girls. Beef up the girls.
I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
Yes, very much so, because tonight in the studio, as you know, on a Sunday, we like to bring you all sorts of different things on a Sunday, and tonight is no different. Now, the lady we've got with us in the studio is so awesome, I can't tell you. I've only met her once, but I've spoken to her quite a few times, and literally there are certain mindsets I had that she has already picked up on and sort of got working on and changing already. Now, she is an intuitive life coach, so this hits me right between the eyes because, as you know, I'm a spiritual baby, as Claire is as well. So it's the lovely Lisa Michaels. Good evening, Lisa. How are you?
Hello, Kerry. Great to be here.
You was a little nervous, weren't you, before?
I was a little bit, yeah, but I'm all right now.
Yeah, see?
How are you? How is everyone?
Oh, we're all great, thank you. Yeah, we're really good. Now, I wanted to get you on the show because, as I say, you have a very unique way of looking at life coaching. You don't just do a mindset change. You look at it from a very spiritual way. So can you tell us how you first got into this for me, please?
Yeah, so it must have been about 3 years ago, I was doing a lot of self-development work, and also throughout my, childhood and growing up, I started to, what you would call was awakening, coming into that awakening period, and not realising actually that I was awakening. I then actually started to do a lot of self-development and decided to, instead of suppressing it, which is what I was doing for a very long time, and not really understanding everything because I had no one to speak to about it, decided to do a lot of just work on myself and transformed my inner world, which then transformed my outer world, and was able to now help others to do the same.
Oh, isn't it hard, though, when you first hit that, when you have to do that inner work, it's really difficult sometimes to address those inner issues, isn't it?
Oh, my God, yeah, you really have to strip back. It's like we're an onion and you're taking off all these layers which make up you. And the thing is, a lot of it is conditioned. It's a conditioned life that you've learned to live. And also it's stripping all of that back and saying, right, who is the core of me? Where am I? What is the absolute root of who I really am? And it's discovering who you are and what you're here to do, your purpose, in other words. And that's what I discovered by doing that. And I'm layering these layers and layers of this onion that I've sort of started to pick at. I just got to really discover who I am and what I'm here for and what I'm meant to do. And it's very, very empowering. But yeah, it's exhausting. And you go through a lot of, emotional feelings, and you think you're going crazy at some parts of it, and then you're exhausted in other parts. It's really, but at the end of it, when you start to come out of it, you realise actually, oh my goodness, how much weight I've lifted off, and it's just very empowering, and it's amazing actually how much we do carry around with us that don't serve us, that doesn't serve us, and it's just really empowering. And I just wanted to really, by what I was doing with myself and my inner world changing so much. I mean, obviously it happened over a period of time. It just doesn't happen overnight, but the transition of it is very, very empowering. And some people can be a little bit, I guess, frightened of that greatness that we have inside of us, that unlimited potential, the divine potential that we all have. And it's just taking conscious action and responsibility towards it. Once you do that, you then discover your soul's purpose and your ultimate potential, which can be very scary. And it was at times. It was very scary. But I sort of got over that because the love that came in with that was very,
That's
very
the thing,
powerful.
isn't it?
Yeah.
When you find yourself on a spiritual journey, the love. When you find yourself on a spiritual journey, can be really, really worrying, can't it? Really unsettling, really scary, because we don't know where we're going, do we always?
No, it's the unknown. It's the complete unknown. And like in any instance, if you're in an area where you're not quite sure, you're in doubt, you're in fear. So in other words, we stop ourselves. We're in what's called a resistance mode. So then we're not receiving things from the universe. The universe wants to send us. And the thing is, if you're constantly in that resistant mode, you're going to be constantly having that wall up and not receiving. So it's about receiving from the universe what the universe wants to send you.
Allowing it to flow.
Allowing it in, allowing it to flow, and not being in that sort of control mindset that we're all taught to be in, because, if you don't control something, then you've lost it, haven't you? But you know what? It's actually the reverse. I discovered that actually by letting go, it's actually the complete reverse, and it's very, like I said, it's very empowering. I get guided by the universe now, and, I have lots of messages that come through, because I intuitively obviously have insight and guidance that I channel with my coaching sessions that I do as well. So that person gets clarity, but I get the clarity first for them, and I sort of guide them to their higher self, so that we can work on the core things that are helping, that need, assistance, and where they're resisting their growth, as well. So it's really empowering. It's a long process though. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's bearing with it, and it's going with it, and it's literally letting go.
It certainly is. Yeah. How much of what we do is actually based in fear? I mean, I know that fear is the biggest block I think people have, isn't it, when they come across something. And the first instance when you get a situation where you're fearful is actually to run away from it. It takes you quite a lot of inner courage to actually start working through that fear and take that step. Because you read tarot as well, don't you, Lisa?
I do, yes. I don't do it that often. I do read my own tarot. I also do, because I take meditation workshops, and also write other workshops as well that I do, which is to do with law of attraction and empaths, if you want to know what kind of empath you are. So I do a lot of things like that. So they're also really helpful to sort of discover, and because like I said, we're like an onion. We've got lots of these layers, and there's not just one part of you. There's so many different dimensions of you as well. I think what it is, the fear is either, you can't have fear and love in the same, operating in the same area. That's the thing. You either love or you fear, or you love or you could say love or you hate. But fear, it comes from, again, the unknown. It's just what the mind does to protect us, actually, because we're 2 million year old, wide mind, which is, hasn't come up to this sort of day and age. And so therefore it's in fear of things like a new job, or embarking on a new relationship with somebody, or even expressing, your authenticity. There's so many different ways that your mind can sort of sense that fear, or if you wanted to become an entrepreneur in some way, and, you just don't know where to start or what to do, and you procrastinate. And that's, again, to do with the fear. You're going to be, having that anxiety from that. And that's what is all self-produced. It's all produced, which is very damaging, and it can weaken you. It can, make you feel very sort of lost. And again, you've got this resistance that's up, and you're not going to be able to move yourself forwards from it. And then you get into this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, which just goes round and round.
Yeah, so it's basically stripping it back, because when I said that, I was thinking more about what you do is you strip it back to basically the full stage where you have knowledge and you have that inner knowledge, but you've stripped it back so you're not fearful to take that next step, you're not fearful to push forward, and do that without the inner boundaries or inner blocks that you build up.
No, absolutely. It's also about trust. A lot of it's about trust, but then that trust then eventually turns into knowing.
Yeah.
So the trust completely turns into a knowing, and you have absolute faith. And that's what happened to me on my journey. It turned into absolute faith.
So you faced your fear.
Yeah.
You face your fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it turned into faith.
Yeah, it turns into faith and knowing.
Yeah.
And it's the most empowering position to be in, actually, with the knowledge that you're gaining as well along the journey. And don't get me wrong, like I said, it is scary at times, and it's trusting yourself and believing in yourself as well, that, you know, what's the worst can happen? You face your fear. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
It's like our minds create this unbelievable story which holds you back. And it's like, you know, if you start to deal with your monkey mind, I mean, I dealt with my monkey mind in meditation. So I meditate more or less every other day. And it got rid of that negative self-chatter, which we all have, you know, and that gets rid of your weaknesses. And then you can start on your strengths of where you feel that you can actually move yourself forwards. And by also doing so, it's good to get a mentor as well in this process, if you can have a mentor to help you along, because it's a very lonely journey. It's a very unique journey as well. Not everybody's going to go through the same thing. And like I say, I got a lot of sort of, I guess, when I was a kid as well, growing up, you know, I felt very alone. I felt very different to everybody else. And that can make your self-esteem go, and you think, oh, why can't I connect with people properly? And you think it's you, actually. You think there's something wrong with you. And that's what you carry along in your life as an adult. You think there's something, you know, you think there's something wrong. And actually there's nothing wrong at all. It's just you're here to do something different to everybody else. You know, you're here to guide them, actually.
Yeah. And I think that's true in any form of spiritual work you do, whether or not it's what you do, what I do, or what Claire does. It's you ultimately, you're there to help and guide somebody else's journey, and yet live your own journey as well.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you learn so much. You know, when I work with clients, I learn so much from them as well, you know, because like I say, everybody's unique, but everybody seems to go through this exhaustion period because you're shedding so much stuff that you're carrying around with you, which is like a weight that is being lifted off. And while that's being lifted, it's like you know, it's amazing. It just makes you feel so light. Mm-hmm. And you think, wow, you know, I feel like I did when you first come out of school, you feel like, oh, the world's my oyster. You know, you're on this, you know, great trip, and you want to do these things, and you're really excited. And then all of a sudden you come across your boss or whatever, and he knocks you down a couple of pegs. Mm-hmm. And then you come across someone else, and they knock you down a couple of pegs. And then this other one knocks you down a couple of pegs. And then before you know it, you've got knocked down by lots of pegs, and you're in this hole, and you don't know how to get out. You really don't know how to get out. And it's about getting yourself out and not believing that some of these conditions that we unfortunately end up having to live because of the way we conform to our lives. It's about walking the other way and saying, well, actually, I don't have to do that. You know, it doesn't mean that you're not in agreement, not in agreement with it, but it just means, you know what, I'm not going to go where the herd is going. I'm going to go the other way, because maybe the other way is a bit of a better route. And it's about just empowering that in others as well. You know, you don't have to go where the herd is going. You can go on your own route. There are other people on that route as well, and it's helping those other people that are on that other route.
So you've clearly been going along this route quite nicely now. So how talk us through how you would work with somebody then that was I don't know, in a hole, feeling terrible, needed some guidance, what's your approach?
Right, so first of all, it's about really, they've got to know that they need the help, because it's a very difficult thing to address. Because
acceptance, isn't it?
It's acceptance, yeah. Because for the first thing I work on is awareness. So it's about becoming aware of all your flaws and all your issues. And it's do you want to face them? You know, it's a big thing. Do you want to face them? And that's one of the first questions that I ask. You know, if you're ready to face them and work on them, and then go beyond them, then fine, I'll work with you. But you've got to be really serious, you know, because this is serious stuff. This is not just going to take you, like I said, a couple of sessions. It's going to be a process that you go through. And it's about that uncomfortable, you know, feeling that you're going to get. And it's about that confrontation can be very, very, you know, like I say, you're going to really understand what your weaknesses are, maybe more so, and face them.
You're really fronting up to yourself, aren't you, then?
Yeah, you're sort of squaring up to yourself, and you're having to, like you were saying before, accept your flaws and your strengths and your weaknesses. You're going to have to accept those, because the first step to wholeness is actually the invaluable guidance on this path. You know, that's the first step. And it's awareness. It's awareness of where you are first, because then we work from that. We work from the awareness of where you are. So I completely strip you down to where you are, get to where your core beliefs are. And then what we do is we start to work on the core beliefs, and we start to dislodge them a little bit. And with guidance and insight towards all your creative possibilities that you've got, we become aware of your obstacles and your blockages that you're resisting. And then your growth will come from that. Once you start to release, again, that resistance, you'll be guided towards solutions and action steps towards the transmutation of any resistance or blocks that you have. So you're completely stripped of them. And then it's a case of really working, you know, from sort of, you're not an empty vessel after that. You've got, obviously, what we need to do is replace that with what's going to help you in your process of growth and actually really push you.
So would you say then it's sort of a healing process? So do you work in the same way as a healer then, with maybe meditation or like Reiki, working with the energy?
Yeah, I work with energy, and I work mostly with the heart chakra as well, because it's about the self. You know, as soon as you work with the heart, a lot of people, that's where most of the damage is done, isn't it? Because again, we obviously are emotional beings, and it's about, we've put this block up, you know, right where our heart chakra is. So it's about opening up, and once you open up and realise, actually, you know, I once I've opened myself up, there's nothing to be afraid of. You know, but like I said, it's about acknowledging the healing process, because if you're not ready to acknowledge it, if you're not ready to do it, this will fall flat. It won't work, because you've got to be willing to embrace it. You've got to be willing to embrace that journey and ready for it. You know, it's not for everyone. And the thing is, it's when you are, but you'll know when you're ready. You'll know, because you've got to a threshold. You've got to a point in your life where you go, you know what, doing this stuff over and over again is doing the same things over again and expecting a different result. That's kind of, you know, nuts. That's thinking, you know, you're absolutely nuts if you're thinking you're going to get a different result. Yeah. So it's about knowing that if I do something differently and I get a different pathway to go down with the guidance of, you know, myself, then you can be shown that different pathway, and you'll connect with yourself and with a lot of other things which will inspire you to keep you going, because there's this whole, it's quite amazing. It's like this amazing feeling comes over you. Like, I feel, for example, when I started to wake up and I did this work on myself, I felt not pushed, I felt pulled. I felt pulled towards it. Nothing was pushing me anymore, because when you're pushed, you're in, again, resistance mode, you know, because you're being pushed from behind. This way, you're being.
I always say that I'm drawn, always drawn.
Yeah. When you're drawn, then it's a nicer, you know, journey, much nicer journey.
It's a journey you want to do, and I think you get to that point when you, like you said, you repeat patterns, and you know, why does this always keep happening to me? Is one thing that you hear people say time and time again, and then they go, actually, yeah, why does this keep happening to me? I'm going to change that. And when they hit that point of recognition within themselves that it's a pattern, it keeps repeating. So they may not know why, but they need that. There's that need to know why, and then that starts to lead them into the right way of, okay, so I need to change that. How? And you start resonating that to the universe that change needs to happen, that you're not happy with what's happening, and then that's why you get drawn, because that resonation changes, because all of a sudden you've gone from victim mode, from, oh, it's always happening to me, to, why does this always keep happening to me? So there's that mindset or that resonance change that then leads you to being drawn rather than being pushed to it.
Absolutely.
The mindset changes, doesn't it? From you could say from negative to positive, the like.
Yeah. So you then start drawing those people, the right people towards you to affiliate that change. And that's why you get drawn rather than pushed. A life experience will push you to show you that life experience. But when you have that inner step change, and it's a tiny step, to why does this rather than it's always, that it's very subtle, but it's a change.
It is very subtle. And the thing is, while it changes, you've automatically said to the universe, right, I'm vibrationally in alignment now. Mm-hmm. You've completely vibrationally changed where you are. So your point set of attraction is going to be completely different. Again, this goes into sort of the law of attraction, but it's what you attract to yourself, because you've now aligned yourself with another pathway, which is a clearer pathway, and therefore, you'll see more things like synchronicities happen, and numbers will be able to speak to you as well, and the universe will be able to speak to you a lot clearer, and you'll be able to hear things a lot clearer, and your life just becomes more. You get more focus, more clarity, and it's your inner world which has completely been overturned by everything that you've been taught or brought up with and conditioned to conform, and all of a sudden you've done this amazing work which is very, very empowering. And a lot of people that do this work end up funnily enough becoming intuitive coaches, because it opens you up so much. They get rid of everything that's blocking them from moving themselves forward, and then once they've discovered that, they then want to help others, which is really lovely and really empowering, and it's great. And that's what I want to do, really, is produce more people to be intuitive coaches, because we need more of them.
Oh, but the people that have been through the stuff are the best people, aren't they, to teach?
Yeah. Absolutely, because you've been through it. All this information about you need a certificate to say that you've done this and you've done that. To be honest, it doesn't say that you've got the experience. It just says you've been through a process, which, again, unless you go through it internally yourself, and it's a journey that never ends. This doesn't end. So how can you have a certificate to say you're on this journey, that you're discovering all the time, you're learning all the time? Yes. You're never ever going to stop. You're never going to stop. You're constantly evolving. How can you have a certificate to say that I'm constantly evolving? And actually, with each person that you're dealing with as well, you're going to be coming up across their issues and their different things that they need to obviously offload. And it's about discovering and treating everybody individually, because we are all individuals. We are all unique. Yes, and we all learn at we are all unique, and not one of us is the same, and therefore our learnings are not the same. We're all different, and our souls aren't the same. We're all different, but it's about what you want out of your life. It's about coming to that crossroads in your life and going, you know what, things have to change. I'm ready. I'm ready to acknowledge it. I want to make big shifts. I need to do something, because what I've been doing up to now doesn't work. Therefore, to carry on like that and expecting different results is just madness.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, Lisa and I, have been talking at the beginning of the year when we first started talking. We both were talking about the year ahead and the universal energy of the year. And it was very, very much a feeling of coming together, wasn't it, Lisa? We were saying, I can't believe the amount of people that went through a lot of crap at the end, or light workers that went through a lot of crap at the end of last year and actually reached out to people within their own community and actually are now starting to collaborate and work together more. And this is the vibe of the year, isn't it? This is where
This is actually the vibe of the year. Yes, it absolutely is.
We're seeing this more and more happen. And it is people like Lisa that is manifesting this kind of change, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, we live in I society, I think. A lot of it is it's all about me, and it's not, actually. Yes, work on yourself. I'm not saying, don't work on yourself, because you can't work with others unless you've worked on yourself. Mm-hmm. The thing is, if we become a we-centric society, in other words, collaborating with others, then you're even more powerful. You become even more unlimited, and you have much more potential, because you become a greater force to making those lovely, wonderful things happen as a light worker. You become a beacon, because it's not about being in competition with each person, because everybody's got a unique offering. So there is no competition at the end of the day. You're not going to resonate with everybody. Some people that I work with might not resonate with me. Some people might resonate with somebody else that I work alongside. So, it's about sharing that and collaborating. And you know what? We can all benefit by all aiming for the same targets and the same goals that we want to achieve, but doing it together rather than alone, rather than in an I society. It's all about me and what can I gain from it. What can we gain from it? Why can't we become a we? What can we gain?
I agree.
Because you become much more powerful as a we nation rather than as a you and I. Do you know what I mean? It's a you and I nation. And that's where a lot of the issues are in the world. It's a you and I nation. That's what you've got.
Yeah, people are starting to feel isolated, aren't they? This is the problem with what's happened with the I society, is a lot of people have become isolated within that, which has brought up other issues. Lots of other issues. We addressed this last week in regard to male mental health, didn't we, Claire?
Yeah, we did.
Because people are feeling isolated, they can't express how they're feeling. When they do, there's a lot of expectation on that of, well, what do you want me to do about it? When actually,
there's a lot of judgment, isn't there?
That's right. Whereas when you start working together with people and bringing people together, that you become more of in the chat room they're saying, become a collective, or there isn't a collective. Maybe that's the problem. There is no collective anymore. We need to get back to that. So we become an empowered force for the good, rather than just, I'm over here, I'm doing my thing, who wants to resonate with me? Well, if you don't, go away. It's about learning from each other and collaborating, and so we can bring the best out all together, rather than just me over here. You know what I mean? And that's one of your goals, isn't it, Lisa, is to start bringing like-minded people together, opening up those doors and actually making it more of a spiritual collective for everybody. And yes, Ashley, you said the collective is there. It's just accessibility that's being lost. We need to make it more accessible to people.
Yeah, Definitely. And I think as well, it's not being afraid of, because there isn't, again, you can use, if you're inferior of somebody else's, I guess, power, if you feel that someone else is in a power sort of trip, then, but if you're in a good place, then you won't feel that. Again, it's what you feel on the inside is what you normally emanate on the outside, because your outside world will change. And, it's not about being, like I said, inferior of anybody, or feeling that you can't work with somebody, even though whether they've been in the business a long time or not. We've all got something to teach. We've all got something to share. Mm-hmm. We've all got this knowledge. If you put it together, then you can become very, very powerful in the process.
Do you know what I've learned since I've been on my spiritual journey, if you like, is one, how many people are out there that are feeling the same as me, that have a spiritual belief and don't have anybody to talk to about it. So what you're saying about bringing like-minded people together, that's what I'm doing where I live, is trying to bring them all together as well. So it's really important. And also that they're the nicest people. The spiritual people are the nicest people I've met,
Because they've done a lot more inner work. Because they've addressed certain issues within themselves. And, you know, I'm not saying that the Muggles people don't do that, but I think they do that on a different level. But this awakening has happened, so there's more and more spiritual people out there, or awakening into that way of mindset, and not knowing where to go and not knowing what to do, you know what I mean, and needing that guidance. And so it's about getting people's voices out there and raising awareness and building centres where people can go and have that. And Lisa is all for bringing people together, collaborating and creating these centres of spirituality, I suppose you want to call it, to embrace that.
It's also holding the space. It's holding the space for where you can come and people will listen. They won't judge you. They won't label you. Once you make a judgment on something or you label it, you then turn it into a belief.
Yeah.
And once you've turned something into a belief, it then turns into a truth, which is then very, it can make you feel very disempowered because you don't know if that is the real truth, because everybody's got their own truths. Mm-hmm. And therefore, when you're doing this spiritual journey, when you're on this spiritual journey, you're realizing that these truths are their truths. Might not be your truth, but you're not judging it. You know, that's your truth, and that's fine for you to have that. And I'm not saying that, you know, I've got my own truths. Everyone's got their own truths. And it's not about trying to twist your mind into thinking the way I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. It's letting that person have the space of where they're at, and about saying, well, actually, I'm a bit lost in my journey, or I feel as though I need some more like-minded people to work with. Because you know what, you're the 5 people that you surround yourself with. You are influenced by the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And if they're going to be negative and disempowering kind of, or in fear, or they've got some sort of issues and they're gossipers or whatever, then that's what you're going to be. That's what you're going to be, unless you've got the strength to come away from that and start to, like I said, with the work that I want to do, I want to bring people together, definitely, because, you know, you've got these people that come out of their lives to maybe go to a retreat, and then they come back in, and then they carry on as normal. Well, you can't, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't keep working on yourself and have a place to go, because you're going to get healing constantly. You know, it's again, it's like taking, I mean, to me, the work that I do, I work on myself every day. You have to. Mm-hmm. You can't do this work unless you've worked on yourself every day still. And it's not massive amounts, it's just compounded amounts. And where I feel that, again, I need work on, if I know that there's an area of weakness, I work on it, you know, and I try to, again, overcome that. But it's about knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are and knowing where other people's are and not judging them. It's about having that space that you're not feeling judged or labelled with anything. And there's no wrong or right. You know, a lot of it is blame and the wrong or right scenario. There is no wrong or right, you know, in spiritualism. It's what people beliefs are, what they want to believe in. And there's no judgment in that. There's none at all.
None at all.
Ashley's just asked a really good question.
Yeah.
In the chat room, what's a good daily routine for this kind of work? Because I think we all struggle with a daily routine. I'm frequently saying to people, get out of bed, ground yourself in the morning. It's so hard, isn't it, to fit in if you've got kids or you've got to get up and go to work, or, you know, we've got such busy lives, all of us. So what would you suggest? What's a good daily routine?
Right, so a good daily routine, I would say, get rid of everybody in the house. So you've got basically, you know, you're on your way to work, get up maybe a little bit earlier to get yourself ready before the madness starts. So obviously, if you've got kids, they've got to go to school, you take them to school, and then you work on yourself, you know, get that all out of the way. And then I normally do a little meditation. It doesn't take long, a 5 to 10 minute one, which I normally do in the mornings, about mid-morning. Again, it doesn't have to be a particular time. If you can try and do it at that time, then you're in that sort of daily routine of doing it at that time. And also it sets your day up. You know, it gives you the armour for that day by doing that little meditation, which, like I say, it gives you armour for your day, and you can set your intentions of what you want to accomplish in your day, and makes you a lot happier. But there is stuff that you can do the day before as well. You know, there's also you know, journaling. I do a lot of gratitude journaling as well, which again, you can do that in your spare time. You don't have to do it at a certain time. It's just fitting it in to making it a part, and it doesn't have to take up too much time. 5 minutes, you know, instead of maybe, I don't know, being on your phone looking at Instagram or Facebook, you know, do something for yourself. Put yourself first. It's about putting yourself first. It's about saying, I need to do this because it gets me into a better routine, a better place. And that's really what this is all about. It's getting yourself in a better place. And if you just start to do these daily small habits, they will start to compound. And, you know, I have, like, for example, a half an hour where I'll do some development work. So I'll have a half an hour in my day where I'll do some development work. If I'm out and about and I'm doing coaching or I'm seeing clients or whatever, then I might not get a chance during the day to do some development work. But I'll just make sure that maybe the next day I do that, or the next day. Again, listen to your body, because you know what, we don't always wake up and want to do a meditation. It's about listening to what you need. It's about listening to what your body needs. But once you start to change these things a little bit, you'll want to keep doing them. You'll get those niggly, come on, you haven't done a meditation for a couple of days, Lisa. I think you need to do one. And it's just listening to your body, listening to your intuition, listening to yourself, your higher self, because your higher self knows exactly where you need to be in order to give you the greater good of you and your, you know, and bring you to your ultimate potential for your day or in that moment. And it's about focusing on your current state. So where you are now, stop focusing on what was before, because you can't affect that. What you can do, though, is affect your future. But it's about what you do today affects your tomorrow. So it's about being in your now. There's a really good book, actually, that you could read. Again, another self-development book. And it's called The Power of Now. And it's a very, very good book to read. I'm just thinking, who is it from? I think it's Eckhart Tolle wrote that. But you can also get these on audio. And again, I listen to podcasts in the morning, audio, and you probably think, God, how does she have any time to do any work? But I do, because it's only bite sizes. It's little chunks of things, but they're very, very effective. And then what happens is they become just part of your routine. And, you know, I still get to go to yoga and I still get to go to the gym. And it's about managing your day. It's what you bring to the hour. It's not what you bring into many hours, you know, because obviously we do have our frantic lives. But if you plan it well, then you can definitely get it all in. And actually, you'll find that you've got more time at the end of the day. You think, oh, I've got some spare time because I've been so organised in arranging when I'm going to be doing everything, you know. And it's about the day before sorting out your week of what you're going to be wanting to accomplish in that week as well. It's just being organised. It's working smartly, you know, as well. And again, that's to do with the mindset, you know, about working smartly and knowing exactly where you're going to be in that week and what you're going to be doing, what you want to accomplish, where your intentions are. So as long as you're going through those intentions and you're hitting those things that you want to hit, then you'll feel that you've accomplished what you want to accomplish.
Yes,
oh, I feel like I need to write a list.
I know, lists are very important in this. And diaries, you know, just making sure that you keep your diary. I want to achieve this today. That's what I've got to achieve today. I'm going to tick that off as I go. And having that self-accountability and that self-responsibility to keep pushing that forward rather than the procrastination that we're very good at sometimes.
Yeah, I think if you write it down, again, you're telling the universe, when something's written down, especially by hand, not on the computer, then you've sort of like made a pact to have that happen. Do you know what I mean? When you go back to it and read it, it's sort of as a reminder, I've got to do this, you know, kind of thing. And then eventually it just becomes like second nature. You know, these things then after a while, do you know, it takes 66 days to create a habit. It takes 66 days to get rid of one and create a new one. So therefore, you know, you have to do that for at least that time period before you're in that sort of new routine of doing something. So, you know, it's just, 66 days.
Now there's a number.
I know.
There's a number.
Just in there thinking,
66. How do you know that? 66 days.
66 days. It's researched. It's all researched by psychologists and people that, you know, look into how we, as obviously beings, we love a habit. You know, that's how we live our lives.
We are creatures of habit. Yeah,
we are creatures of habits, but you know, and the thing is, we also are creatures of routine. So it's about changing that routine and turning it into a better habit, a positive habit, rather than a negative habit, because we are creatures of routine and we are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And changing those routines and those habits within is sometimes, like you said, sometimes there's that accountability that you need, which is where life coaching comes in. And that's where, you know, you break it down, you then start to rebuild and put in new tools and those kind of structures. And then there's that accountability where you know you've got, oh God, I've got a meeting with Lisa and I haven't done half of what I said I'd do. I better get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is, you'll be letting yourself down rather than anyone else down. And the thing is, we're easier to let ourselves down rather than anyone else. So so when you're working with a life and intuitive coach or a life coach, you don't want to let that person down, because, you know, you're paying for it as well. Emotionally, you've obviously parted with money as well, and that's an emotional part of it. So
it's an you invest, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's an emotional investment. So once you've made that emotional investment, you'd be nuts to not go ahead with that, because you've already really signed up for that. And you get the accountability from that life coach to help guide you and to make you do the actions towards what you need to do, because you need that somebody mentoring you and giving you accountability, because, you know, otherwise, like I say, we will easily let ourselves down rather than anybody else.
Yeah, and people self-sabotage themselves an awful lot, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I deal with that a lot. You know, self-sabotage is one of the resistances to change. You know, so it's something that I work a lot on, actually, the blocks that psychologically we have, which we tell ourselves over and over again, we can't do something, or we don't know how to do it. But, you know, I'm of the mindset, you know, if you don't know how to do something, just do it and learn as you go along. You know, at the end of the day, otherwise you'll never start. You know, you'll never start something if you're just going to keep going and making these excuses. And excuses are just really the fear. Excuses are fear. Excuses are just a fear of the unknown. You're not sure what's going to be. And do you know what, though? It's about also enjoying the journey, you know, because life was exciting when we were children. If we go back to when we were kids, you know, we never had an expectation. We didn't think, oh, this is going to happen because of this. But we've learnt to create these stories, you know, and we've learnt to stop ourselves and sabotage ourselves within those stories. So we've created these stories that don't even exist, plus the fact we've added these obstacles in the way as well. So you're exhausted with all the stuff that you're doing. And instead of just living your life and just having fun every day, which is what we're here to do, have fun and enjoy the journey, because you're constantly evolving. You're never going to become the end of it, because obviously we go on to elsewhere before, you know, after this place. But I mean, that's what I believe.
Me too.
But it's a case, it's a case of, you know, enjoying the journey. It's not about the destination. Yes, have a destination set, but it's about who you become in that journey. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, have a goal. Have that intention to hit that goal, and don't self-sabotage yourself on the way. And if you can get through those blocks and those internal fears and those mindsets that can stop you from doing it, break them down, move forward, achieve that goal, and just do it. And do it with a way that resonates with you. Like we've talked about, you work very intuitively, Lisa. I'm going to just tell you something. I saw an advert, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let me have a little look at Lisa. And came across Lisa as a guest, looking for her for a guest. Like to do a pre-interview with somebody before I do a show with somebody, just to make sure they're not completely bonkers. And within 10 minutes of talking to Lisa, she pinpointed one of my self-sabotaging mind blocks within 10 minutes. And I was interviewing her. And it made me sit back and it made me go, oh my God, she's good, guys. Just putting that out there, she's really good. And it's something that she saw, which I hadn't recognised within myself. But Lisa, she went, oh, I'm being told this. And I was like, what? And that was within 10 minutes of talking to her. I suggest, guys, if you think this service is for you, check Lisa out, talk to Lisa, because trust me, it blew me away. It blew my mindset away. I came off that interview completely gobsmacked, I think is the expression. So,
I'm in. Do me.
honestly, it was awesome. So when you start channeling, when you start working with somebody, when you first come across somebody that you've never met before, is it an instant thing for you?
It is sometimes. The thing is, I like to get permission from your higher self. I think if you've already asked that question, the universe normally directs you to me anyway. So I normally end up being able to channel exactly what I need to find in you that is maybe blocking you or sabotaging you in some way. So I can actually, find that quite easily. And again, because I channel that and have that ability, I'm able to help, and that's what I'm here to do, and transform your way of thinking in just a quick sentence of saying, well, actually, if this is this, why are you doing that kind of thing? And it's just bringing you an awareness to it, really. And again, it's really hard to see that within ourselves, that awareness sometimes. You do need someone to almost map it out for you as well, because a lot of us are on this controlled, sort of journey. And again, I say control because a lot of us are thinking that we're in control. But, it comes a point where you think, you know what, I'm controlling this journey and I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm not getting what I need to get out of this journey. So, it's again, like I said, it's letting go. And that's basically what I do, is I get you to look at yourself, let go first and see where you are and just bring your awareness to it. So that's really what I do.
Can I just ask you, Lisa, what tools do you use to get somebody to do that?
So I do meditation, but I also, I'm an empath as well. So I can I'm an astral and physical empath. So I can physically sense the energies that are blocked within your chakras, for example. We have 7 chakras, and your crown chakra is always open. That's never blocked, but you can be not aware of listening to it, in other words, although it's always open. But the other 6 are normally in a sort of imbalance in some way. Every day they change, or every second they can change. It depends on your emotion, because they're defined by your emotions. So again, it's if something's brought you out of alignment, I normally can see that alignment out. So I know which area you'll be sort of out of alignment with. So I can do that, as well as obviously channeling the spiritual past lives. I can also channel past lives, and also channel lives, and also do healing from afar. So in other words, I have worked with people where I've been able to heal them, over the other side of the world, just by knowing exactly where they are blocked in a way, if they've got an ailment or something. Because as you know, or as we know, it's metaphysically brought on by your mind, which then manifests into the body, and that all comes from an emotional feeling of something, which again, your body's trying to tell you something, you're not listening to something. So you'll get it as an ailment in your body, or you could get it as a disease, or obviously as a cancer, or as a, so there's lots of things that you can obviously get it, from. But yeah, it's really channeling and able to connect with my higher self, which then connects with your higher self, and really get into the same energy of where you are.
So interesting.
Yeah, and there is definitely a difference between your higher self and your lower self, and recognising the two is sometimes quite tricky, isn't it?
It is, and again, it's because your ego also gets in the way of things, and you could think that is your higher self, but it really isn't. It really isn't. Ego is actually I define it as edging God out. So, if you've edged God out, then you've not got that divine consciousness within you, which we all have access to. So it's about having that access consistently. But some of us have it, but not consistently. And it's about actually listening. It's really just getting rid of the noise. And I do that through meditation, through my coaching course that I do. Within sort of a 4-week working with me, the monkey mind, I call it, or the self-negative chatter will then start to disperse, and you'll start to be able to divinely hear, messages from the universe even. And whether you call it God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, higher self, it all comes from a good place. It's not it's not a destructive place. It's not something that's going to hurt you or harm you. It's going to guide you. It's actually going to really empower you. So it's about tuning in. It's about being tapped on, turned on, tuning in to your intuitive guidance that's there for you, which creates so many possibilities. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people to tune into themselves, because we are energy beings, and that's how we operate, and we're not operating like that. A lot of us aren't. There's so many people that are not operating like that because of the distractions that are in the world at the moment. You've got the influences of what's going on, worldly, but you've also got distractions with phones and with iPads and with the computer. And as much as that's brought us all together, in some ways, it's also a distraction and can often make us come out of alignment to who we are, because we're so focused on what's going on over there rather than what's going on within us, So it's about focusing. So what I do is I bring you focus towards yourself. We work on the heart chakra, I work on your higher self, and I work on getting rid of the noise that you're currently used to hearing every day, which you're not really, again, aware of. But once you clear it, you'll be so aware of the silence that's there, which you can then hear these beautiful, inspirational, divine guidance that's there for all of us, that's there literally for all of us.
Okay, Ashley's put another question from Ashley. He said, what if someone struggles to meditate? Any tips or tricks?
Yeah, there's no tricks. To be honest, it's like practicing yoga or going to the gym. You're not going to become this amazing yoga master within a day, within 10 minutes of doing it. I did it with, I had a mentor that I went to weekly to start off with. And by doing that, again, I made a conscious decision, because it's about a decision, by just going somewhere, paying for that to have the guidance. Because that way I knew I had no distractions. We were told to turn off our phones. Doing it within your own area of where you live is difficult, because you've got those distractions. I've got to do the washing. I've got to do unpack the dishwasher. You've got these regular lifetime stuff that's there that you think, oh, I haven't done this, I must do this. So you're going to constantly have those distractions. Whereas if you've made a conscious decision, can't say that word, conscious decision to go and have some me time, because that's what it is, connecting with yourself, and you've put yourself first, you go, right, no, that hour or that couple of hours is for me. I'm going to go to a place where you can, which you have to resonate with, again, find somewhere where you resonate with. You can do it over Skype. I mean, I do, again, in my coaching sessions, obviously I don't coach everyone in England. I do global coaching. So I do it over the internet and teach that. And also I record specific ones for you as well that you can go off and do in your spare time. Again, it's after you've done some work with me, you then become quite disciplined to doing it. And then, but I think starting off really by going somewhere and getting the guidance first. I mean, I host like weekly meditation workshops on a Tuesday, and we only do a meditation for 20 minutes, because to be honest, any more than that is too much. You need to just really, it's only pockets of it. It's what you need. But again, starting off very small, maybe start off with a 5-minute one. If you can't get anywhere, or you don't know anywhere that you can go to, start off with a 5-minute guided meditation you can get on YouTube, or or connect with somebody that or myself. We can meet up, and I can help you with meditation. But it's sticking with it. It's doing it religiously every day for the first time, first probably month or so. There's like a 30-day challenge of a meditation you can do, but you don't have to start off like big. Again, it's like going into the gym. You're not going to start off, doing gymnastics, are you? The minute you're going to go into the gym and become this yoga master, and you're going to be able to just about bend your legs or your back or whatever. So it's about being aware and just starting off very, very, small, and then gradually building that up a little bit more. And again, listen to yourself, listen to what you need,
Definitely. Right, Lisa, you do several courses, don't you? Can you talk
us through? I do, yes.
Just give us a brief overview of what each of your courses are. Now, Lisa is going to be back, and we'll go into more depth on other shows. But just quickly, what kind of courses do people do? What do you do now?
Right, so I do a mindfulness and meditation workshop. I also do other workshops, which are more like workshops rather than... They are courses. You can do them like over a 6-week period, where I invite you into a workshop and we sort of work on different areas. We can either do, for example, we'll work on the 7 chakras. So that will be a 7-week one. We work on each chakra each week. And then we can do also a law of attraction one, how to focus on manifesting. That's really, really great one, because obviously you want to manifest money and things like relationships and bring them towards you, not the ones you don't want, the ones you do want. But also as a course, like to do like globally wise, I do like an intuitive and spiritual core program, which is an 8-week program and would include a lot of visual stuff. We go through meditation, we go through what your intentions are, you'll become aware of yourself. One of the weeks will be concentrating on mental intuitive clarity, healing your abundance blocks. So we actually heal those abundance blocks, the sabotaging things. We do also another one, which is a spiritual response therapy, which is healing some emotional blocks that you've got from your past, or even some emotional blocks that you've still got that are stopping you. So again, they are abundance blocks, but they're more to do with past lives and things like that. And also changing your beliefs. We go through a session of changing your beliefs, and then we do how to manifest. So how to then, once we've cleared everything, we've brought your awareness to everything, I give you homework and things to action. And then you basically evoke those things that you want to manifest. And we bring you into a point where you're going to start to want to attract what you are, what you've become after that period of 8 weeks. So, like I said, some people go through this course and they want to become a coach. I also have another one, which is to become a coach and give you help in that as well. So those are the courses that I do. And I also do one-to-one work, which can do, again, it's normally 4 to a 6 week period, just working on the things that you want to work on. So I completely, we hear about if you've just got some sabotages you just want to work on, then we do that. And that can maybe be between a 4 and 6 week course as well. So there are some other, things that I'm working on as well. But I think, to be honest, the intuitive and spiritual core program will pretty much set you up and ready to take on the world, because it's very powerful, and like I say, it's really empowering, and it does bring you onto that phase of your awakening. If you're in that awakening period and you're not understanding things, I give you the tools of how to work with if you've got any empathic abilities, how to protect yourself, setting up boundaries, how to protect yourself energy-wise, because being an empath, you're going to be able to absorb other people's feelings and things from the universe, whether that be from plants, animals, or even humans, or being able to connect energy-wise. Again, it's guiding you to the right place where to connect with, all the positive things. So that's what I concentrate on really mostly as well. And it can help you, obviously, with land the career you want, help you to find your perfect partner, have the income that you want. And again, if you want to become a coach, give you those tools for you to become a coach. And I can also help you out with things like even a website. So I can go through, again, it's got to be from you. So we go through all of that process as well. And that takes about 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If you want
and
to become a
where
coach.
can people find you, Lisa?
Right, so I'm based in London, but I do have a website, and you can certainly connect with me. I give a free ebook if you connect with me. So I'm on lisalifecoach.com. So it's really simple. I kept it simple. lisalifecoach.com, and you can just connect with me and contact me, and I will get back to you as soon as you've connected with me. So it's lisa@lifecoach.com. There's my email. Really easy as well. And if you want to have a chat, we can have a non-obligated chat for about 30 minutes, finding out where you want to be and how I can help you with the art forms that I use. And if you feel this is for you, you'll be able to create big shifts in your life, take on some really big responsibility if you're ready, and working through those relationships and issues. And if you discover that you've discovered you're an empath, we can work with that as well. So because I'm an empath, so I really do concentrate on empaths.
Brilliant.
I get their pain.
I've shared your Facebook group and your website into the chat room. So guys, I definitely suggest go check her out, have that half hour with her, see if you can work with Lisa. Trust me, you can work with Lisa. She's just adorable and so lovely, and really gets to the point of what is stopping you, basically, and then brings you to the point where you can start doing what you've always wanted to do in whatever it is that you want to do. Take that action, definitely. Now, Lisa is definitely coming back. She's coming back on the 8th of April. We're going to do something a little different on that show. I'm going to be bringing people onto that show, so you get a one-on-one quick one with Lisa, just to give you guys an idea of how good this lady is. Because as I say, within 10 minutes, she'd pinpointed something within me, and that was astonishing. Because I'm quite closed, believe it or not.
You thought so. You thought you did.
I thought I was.
I thought you were.
I say, from being interviewee to interviewed was a bit like, oh, hello, how did that happen?
Tables are turned.
It certainly was. Now, next week on the Spirit Dimension, I have got another lovely lady in the studio with me. Her name is Bianca Eleanor. She does a lot of healing therapies like Reiki, Indian head massage, crystal healing, oh my God, all that kind of thing. She is literally awesome at. So I thought, let's break it down. Let's find out what all those different healing therapies are and what they can do for you. So that's next week on the Spirit Dimension. Now, as always on Parasearch Radio, we have a week full of shows for you. And tomorrow night on the Parasearch UK Radio Encore show, we were talking all about Ouija boards. So don't forget to tune into that. On Tuesday evening, the Paranormal Concept Show, Paul is putting me right on the brink of breakdown on this one. We're talking about the flat earth theory and why do people still think this? So we're looking at that on Tuesday. On Wednesday evening, we've got the Supernatural Chat Show. The fabulous Vivian Powell is coming into the studio with Sean Cadman. I'm sure they're going to be telling you all the up-to-date news of what's happening with Paraforce convention. Then Haunted Histories follows that with the Winchester House. The film has just been released. I don't know if you've gone out there and caught it, but the Winchester House is always a fascinating topic. On Friday evening, the Dark Mirror Show, we're looking at Native American myths and belief systems, and always, as Mark is doing the research on that one, we shall see if we can find an alien link there as well. And on Sunday, as I said, next week, we've got the lovely Bianca in the studio. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us in the studio tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been lovely to talk.
It's been a real joy. It's been great to talk. I look forward to seeing you on the 8th.
Yes, very much so. Claire, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It has. Thank you so much for having me.
And guys, thank you so much for joining me in the chat room tonight. It's been great watching all your comments go through. On that note...
Thank you to you guys as well.
Oh, you're very welcome. And on that note, I bid you all a very farewell until during the week. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.